Good afternoon, baseball fans. This is Bill Ryczek coming to you from the Capitoline Grounds in Brooklyn, New York, along with my sidekick, John Thorn, the official historian of the National Association of Baseball Players. Joanne Hulbert's down in the field. We've got our engineers, Ariel and Lisa Barcenas. We're going to bring you all the action today from Brooklyn, the game between the Red Stockings, who are visiting from Cincinnati, Ohio, and our very own Atlantics of Brooklyn. We've got a pretty good day for baseball. It was overcast in the morning, but it's cleared up, and I think the sun's going to be shining brightly pretty soon. It's 82 degrees here at game time. We've got a wind blowing in from the outfield, blowing in from center field. It's a pitcher's wind. So if the boys get the ball up in the air, they might have a little trouble getting it over the outfielders' heads. If you followed baseball at all the last year or two, you know the Cincinnati Red Stockings are about the best thing that's ever hit baseball. They've won, according to our count, 84 games in a row over the last 2 years. They were undefeated last year, and we've seen undefeated teams before, these Atlantics in 64 and 65, but they never played anywhere near as many games as these Red Stockings. The question everybody's asking, John Thorn, is, do these Atlantics have a chance? Can anybody beat the Red Stockings?
I think they can. The Red Stockings defeated the Mutuals handily the other day, 16-3, after narrowly defeating them 4-2 the year before and walloping the Atlantics 32-10 in 69. But the Atlantics, who have had a lot of dissension among them, are now all together on the field, and they are putting forward their best nine.
And let's not forget, these Atlantics have some lost glory to reclaim. They were the kingpins back in the mid-60s. Now the Cincinnati Red Stockings are the kingpins of baseball. Oh, I'd say we've got at least 10,000 people here today. Maybe if people are still coming in, we may get up to 15,000. One of those 10,000 people is our very own Joanne Hulbert. Joanne, what's it like down there on the field?
Oh, what's it like on the field? Oh, the baseball-loving public seems to anticipate a close game at the Capitoline Grounds. They have flocked hither until the grounds are absolutely black with their presence, and the tills at the entrance are packed with greenbacks. Every street leading to the grounds is thronged with pedestrians coming to the game, and they've been arriving here for hours before the start of the game, and the cars and ferry boats are filled to overflowing. Little urchins are shouting, "Scorecards, names and positions of both nines," all the way from Fulton Ferry to Bedford, and all Brooklyn seems to be awake at the big event of the day. Stores are deserted. Boys who could not obtain permission to leave school are playing hooky, and hundreds who could not produce the necessary 50-cent stamp for admission are looking on through cracks in the fence. Others are perched on the topmost limbs of the trees and on roofs of surrounding houses. They say that 15,000 people have passed through the gates, and the crowd is boisterous and noisy, and they are already bothering those who prefer to watch the game quietly. And the weather? Oh, the weather is scorching. The sun is blazing with a fierceness that threatens to devour the two nines. But a few cheers have greeted the Atlantics as they put in their appearance. So far, Red Stockings have not been treated with courtesy, a tribute to their gentlemanly and correct style of playing. And for the first time on the Capitoline Grounds, the spectators are showing distinctly partisan feelings. I'm here with a young man that I found in the stands. He's looking very excited to be here at the game. What's your name, young man?
My name is Benjamin Cedric Speckland, and I'm 10 years old.
Seems like everybody in Brooklyn is here. Are you excited about being here at this game?
Yes, ma'am. I want to see the Atlantics do what they say can't be done.
Oh, there are so many great players. Who's your favorite player here today?
Dickie Pierce, because he's from Brooklyn, too. I want to play for the Atlantics when I grow up. Huzzah!
And that's huzzah! And now, back to Bill and John. How is it looking where you're standing right now?
Thank you, Joanne. We'll be back to you later on. We've got two pretty good pitchers who are going to be facing off against each other today in the pitcher's box. George Zetline of the Atlantics, longtime Atlantic hurler, and Asa Brainerd, former New Yorker, who's pitching for the Red Stockings. John, tell us a little bit about these two gentlemen.
Zetline came to the Atlantics as a teenager, 17, 18 years old, and he'd been dividing the pitching duties with Pratt until this year when Pratt went to the Athletics, and now the entire load is on him. He is a heavy fastball pitcher. He's known as the charmer, but not because of his cute breaking deliveries or changes of pace. He comes at you hard. As to Brainerd, he has been around forever. He was the successor to Jim Creighton with the Excelsiors, and has been something of a vagabond since. He was the star pitcher of the 1867 Washington Nationals, which provided the model of professionalism that the Reds followed subsequently.
You know, Zetling reminds me a little bit of John, he's a husky fellow, he's a big fellow. Alexander Cartwright, who pitched for the Knickerbocker Club many years ago. Do you remember him?
I do. Cartwright was a giant, not because he was necessarily the best of the players on the field, but he was so much taller than everyone else.
Somebody told me, he's been gone from this area for a long time, of course. Someone told me he was in the Sandwich Islands.
That is correct. He went west in the gold rush year of 1849 and sailed from California to Hawaii with great seasickness issues that prevented him from returning to the mainland. So he made a go of it and is quite the wealthy merchant.
Well, he was pretty husky boy. I hope the cannibals don't get him while he's out there.
Yes, I think there are no cannibals in the Sandwich Islands.
You're sure?
I'm quite sure.
All right. We've got a great field. We've got a good day for baseball. And these Capitoline Grounds are just looking terrific. Cut perfectly. The field is rolled. What a difference between those early fields we saw back in the 1850s.
Yeah, the baseball is now a manicured affair, almost as much as figure skating is. And of course, the Capitoline Grounds, just like the Union Grounds, which preceded them here in Brooklyn, are used for skating in the off-season. And it's possible that the proprietors make more revenue from that. So smoothness is indeed the wave of the future.
And with 10 to 15,000 people here, somebody's going to make money today.
Indeed. Especially because the Reds insist that if they're going to play against you, you have to charge 50-cent admission, which is twice the norm.
And let's see, 50 cents times 15,000, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
All right, we're almost getting ready to go here. The Atlantics have won the toss, so they're sending the Red Stockings to the bat first. We'll give you the lineups. George Wright for the Red Stockings, of course, as always, is going to be leading off playing shortstop. Charlie Gould is playing at first base. Fred Waterman, another old New Yorker, is playing third base. Doug Allison, Philadelphia, is the catcher. Harry Wright, the captain, the estimable one, is playing center field. Andy Leonard from the old Irvington team is playing left. Asa Brainerd, as we said earlier, is going to be doing the pitching. Charlie Sweezy is going to be playing second base, and Cal McVeigh is batting ninth in right field. For the Atlantics, they have Dickie Pierce, the longtime Atlantic shortstop, leading off. Charlie Smith is batting second, playing third base. Old reliable Joe Start playing first base. Jack Chapman in left. Captain Bob Ferguson catching. George Zetling in the pitcher's box. George Hall playing center field. Littman Pike, power hitter, is at second base. And Dan McDonald is playing right field and batting ninth. Now, we're not going to report every pitch today. The Atlantics are now taking the field, so we'll be underway shortly. We're not going to report every pitch. There's going to be a lot of them. It's a big game. The pitchers will be pitching carefully. The hitters will be looking the pitches over very carefully. So there'll be a lot of pitches, we expect. If you hear us seemingly rambling on, don't worry, you're not missing anything. We'll get you every bit of the action. So the Atlantics are out there. Zetling's throwing some warm-up tosses. The Atlantics are throwing the ball around. George Wright is stepping in. And George, many people say, John, is the best shortstop, maybe the best player in baseball.
I think there's pretty universal agreement about that. Wright is in such demand that he plays with a different club each year. Now, he started with the Gothams, I believe, and played catcher and got banged up pretty badly, so moved to the infield. Now, what he has done with the shortstop position is to really revolutionize the way it's played. He plays deep. He plays outside the infield. So he is a combination shortstop and short center fielder or short left fielder. And he plays the position very differently from Dickie Pierce on the other side, who likes to play within the base paths and even play in closer to the pitcher.
Well, it wasn't that long ago you and I thought Doc Adams was a pretty good shortstop. George can do things Doc could never dream of doing.
Well, the one thing Doc did, however, was dream up the very position, because there was no shortstop. Baseball was an 8-on-8 game, or when it was 9-on-9, you had 4 outfielders. Adams' innovation about 1847-48 was to bring that 4th outfielder into the infield to act as a relay and also to stop ground balls.
Doc was a great man. We miss him down here in New York. George Wright is up at the plate. George is one of the best hitters in baseball, as John said, and he wants to make sure he doesn't give him anything too good to hit. Here's the next pitch, and George does get a hit. It's on the ground, through to left field, and he's going to reach safely. Goes to first base, holds on there, and Charlie Gould is coming up as our next batter. Gould, of course, the only Cincinnatian on the Red Stocking team.
Yeah, this is what was referred to in the press recently as an eclectic nine, and that's another way of saying professional. That the inducement of salaried play in Cincinnati brought some of the best players from the East to the Reds, and Harry Wright has constructed a team that has been unbeaten until today.
That's foul tip. Ferguson can't hang on to it. He had his hands on it, but it's difficult to catch those foul tips. Ferguson had to play up a little closer than he normally would because George Wright's on, and he didn't get that foul tip. So Zedling's got the ball back, working quickly now. Another foul. This time Ferguson's over there to the right, and he's got it. He's got it, gets both hands around it. He's out, got it on the first bound. George Wright holds at first base. And now we've got Fred Waterman coming to the plate. We've got one out. We've got George Wright on first base. We're in the top of the first inning. No score, of course. Waterman, another foul tip. Ferguson can't hang on to this one. Ferguson's missed 2 of the 3, but those are tough chances. He's a good ball player back there. He'll get more than he misses. Zedling delivers again. Another foul tip. This one Ferguson hangs on to. Gets both hands around it. We've got 2 down. 2 down. George Wright still on first base. And Doug Allison is coming to the plate. Allison is the catcher from Philadelphia, of course. He's been quite a mainstay there for the Red Stockings. Zedling's pitch. It's a hard grounder, and it's going to go past Dickie Pierce on into left field. He's going to reach safely. George Wright is going to second base. He's stopping there. No chances. Chapman comes up with the ball quickly. We've got runners at first and second, 2 out. Red Stockings have a threat going, and they've got Harry Wright coming up. Harry, of course, you remember Harry from New York, John, and he was here many, many years.
Well, Harry, like George, learned the game under the tutelage of cricket professional Sam Wright. And while the games of cricket and baseball are very different and have certainly diverged since the Civil War ended, I think that the strategy of the cricket field is embodied in Harry Wright's approach to the game.
Harry has his team playing like a team. You said they're an eclectic nine. They're from all over the place. You'd never know. Harry hits one out to right field. I think it's going to drop in. It is. Here comes McDonald. He can't get it. It's in. It's in. George Wright's coming around third. He's going to score easily. McDonald gets the ball. And here comes Allison. Allison's going to try to come in. He's going to be out. The ball throw is wild. It's over Ferguson's head. It's coming toward us. And Allison scores easily. Harry Wright's going all the way around to third base. We've got the first 2 runs of the ball game. Cincinnati's up 2-0. On that play, McDonald could have had him. Allison probably shouldn't have tried to score, but he did. These Red Stockings play daring baseball. They dare you to make an error. You could hear everyone on the bench yelling at Allison to come around. It's 2-0, and Andy Leonard is the batter. John, they're off to a good start here. It's tough when you get behind these Red Stockings that the pressure builds up.
The pressure builds up because the Red Stockings pitching is so good and their defense is so good. They shift players left and right. I mean, we have seen 3 infielders on the left side of the infield for some of these batters.
That's amazing. Now Leonard is up. It's a line drive, and Pike manages to get to it. He got over to his left, made the catch. We thought Harry Wright was going to come in on that, but the side is retired with 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 error, 1 man, Harry Wright left on base. At the end of the top half of the first inning, the Red Stockings 2, Atlantics nothing. Let's hear from one of our sponsors right now.
If you happen to be visiting Philadelphia, be sure to stop in and see our old friend Al Reach, who used to play second base for the Eckfords. Al has a baseball emporium located at number 6 South 8th Street in Philadelphia. He's got everything you need to outfit a baseball team, including uniforms, balls, bats, bases. So if you have a baseball club or you're thinking of starting a baseball club, write a letter to Al, get a price list, because he says he's got the lowest prices around. And if you do stop in and see him, you might want to kid him a little bit about why his athletics haven't been able to get the championship away from the New York clubs. Al's still playing good ball. He's a good man, so stop by and see him the next time you're in Philadelphia and pick up some baseballs.
We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. The Red Stockings ahead 3-0. The Atlantics really haven't done much with Asa Brainerd or any of the Red Stockings. They've got to get something going pretty soon, or we're going to have win number 85 in a row. Dickie Pierce is up. Dickie Pierce singled his first time up. He's up for a second at bat now. It's a ground ball to third base. Waterman comes up with it, throws to first, and he throws wildly. It's going out to right field down the line. Pierce is going around to second. McVeigh is chasing the ball down, and Pierce is going to go to third. The throw by McVeigh, not in time, not nearly in time. Pierce goes to third easily, and the Atlantics finally have an opportunity here. They've got a runner at third base with nobody out. Charlie Smith coming up to the plate. One out. Pierce at third. Charlie Smith batting. 3-0 Red Stockings. We're here at the Capitoline Grounds in Brooklyn, along with John Thorn, Joanne Hulbert, our engineers, Ariel and Lisa Barcenas. We've got a 3-0 score. The Red Stockings are ahead. Smith, it's a fly ball out to center field. Harry Wright should have it. He's tracking it. He's coming in, and he's got it. Pierce is tagging up at third, but he's not going to come. Harry gets the ball in. He was too shallow for Pierce to be able to score, so we've still got a runner at third. The Atlantics still have not scored. Here comes Joe Start. Start's been up twice. He had a fly ball to center field. He popped to third in the second inning. He's up for his third time, a chance to drive in a run and bring them a little closer. Start's one of the better hitters on the Atlantics. This is the guy they want up now. Brainerd's pitch, he swings and he hits it to center field. It's going through, past second base, into center field. Pierce is coming in to score. The Atlantics finally have a run. It's 3-1. Start holds on at first base. Red Stockings 3, Atlantics 1. And here comes Jack Chapman. Jack's up now. John, I see Henry Chadwick is here. You know, Henry Chadwick, the great baseball writer, sitting down at the reporter's stand.
Yeah, Chadwick's always here.
Henry, nobody has done more for the game of baseball. You gotta love Henry for all the writing he's done, and talk about honest.
Well, Henry's great, but he's also self-promotional, so this idea that he is the father of the game, a self-anointed father of the game, is rubbing a lot of the players the wrong way.
Well, let's get back there. Chapman swings, hits the ball right back to the mound, out in front of the plate. Brainerd is up with it, throws to Gould. Start is going to second base. Chapman is out. So let's pick up again with Henry Chadwick.
Well, Chadwick, he's devised the score sheet. He's devised many of the statistics that we use. But the idea that he would be a factor at the annual convention that makes the rules and be someone who comments on the quality of the rules in his guide is a frequent source of irritation.
Ferguson pops it up. It's over by first base, outside of first base. Charlie Gould is after it. He's under it. And he drops it. We got an error on Gould. So Ferguson gets another chance, gets another life. So back to Chadwick again, John. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We got action going on here. We told our fans we wouldn't let him miss a minute. So,
well, Henry is English born and likens baseball continually to cricket when it's really very much an American game. And the English factor is something that other commentators are starting to note, and newspaper writers are starting to resent Henry's intrusion.
Ferguson, it's a line drive to right field. It's going to go in. I think Start's going to come around third and score. He's rounding third. There's going to be no play on him. McVeigh gets the ball into second base, and it's 3-2. The Atlantics are making a comeback. Joe Start scored. Ferguson drove in the run, and George Zetling is coming up. Zetling's got a chance. They've got the tying run at first base. Go-ahead run at the plate. Zetling's got a chance to do something here. Brainerd delivers. There's a ground ball hit to shortstop. George Wright's got it. Throws across to Gould. Third out. But finally the Atlantics break through. They've got 2 runs on 2 hits, 3 errors, 1 left on base. At the end of 4 innings, the Red Stockings 3, Atlantics 2. Let's take a break.
Dr. Lewis at 10 Beach Street, New York, cures all diseases of a peculiar nature, if you know what I mean, without exposure, trouble, or change of diet. If you despair of being cured elsewhere, or if you've been pronounced incurable, consult Dr. Lewis at once and you'll be astonished at the speedy cures he makes. He's been practicing for 20 years and he says if you consult him, you will satisfy yourself.
This is it. Bottom of the 9th inning, 5-5. Atlantic's coming up, trying to break this long winning streak of the Red Stockings. The Red Stockings, John, have a song. A song is very important to teams, and I don't want you to sing it. I don't think anyone will ever want to hear a radio broadcaster singing in the booth. But you familiar with the song?
I am, and because it has a verse for every one of the Red Stocking players, it's reminiscent of the first baseball song, which was also written by Henry Chadwick and to the tune of Uncle Sam's Farm, about the Knickerbockers and that young phenom coming up, who we can presume was the late lamented Jim Creighton. He was the greatest player of his day, and even 5 years after his death, people were still talking about him as, even Brainerd was mentioned as, he was a great pitcher, but he weren't no Creighton.
We're always looking for the next Creighton. I mean, these two guys pitching today, Zetline and Brainerd, are doing a great job. Creighton was one of the first to really throw as hard. They're all throwing hard today. I mean, Zetline, Brainerd throw harder than anyone ever thought people would throw 15 years ago.
Zetline in particular, because the Atlantics weren't supposed to figure in this game, is particularly to be admired.
He's pitching a great ball game. And let's see if his mates can pull it out for him. Here's Bob Ferguson leading off against Brainerd. It's a ground ball down to second base. Sweezy takes it easily, throws over to Gould, and Ferguson is grounded out, leading off the bottom of the ninth inning. And George Zetline, see if he can help himself. He hits a foul ball over toward third base. Waterman's over there near the crowd. He's got room, though, and he makes the catch. 2 down, 2 up, 2 down. It's all down to George Hall. Either George Hall does something here or we've got a tie ball game. George, of course, a left-hand hitter, center fielder. He hits one out to left field. Leonard's after it. He's on the run. This could drop in. Leonard's there. He's got it. He makes the catch. We had a very quick bottom of the ninth inning. We thought we'd have a lot of excitement. It's kind of anticlimactic. 3 up, 3 down, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on. And the final score is the Red Stockings 5, the Atlantics 5. The Red Stockings haven't lost a game since 1868, John, but they have had one other tie last year.
A notable tie when they went to play the Haymakers in Troy. And after 4 or 5 innings mid-game, Troy tied the game up at 17-17 and then walked off the field in order to preserve the bets of John Morrissey and his gang, which had bet that they would not lose to the Red Stockings. The Red Stockings left with a bitter taste in their mouth because they wanted to play to a conclusion, but they weren't able to.
You know, you hate to see things like that happen because you and I both love the game of baseball. An incident like that just leads to suspicion. I think you remember, of course, the William Wansley incident of several years ago. It seems like that's fading into the background. And you've got people like Henry Chadwick, who are as honest as can be, Harry Wright. People are starting to have confidence in baseball after the Wansley incident. But that's another story for another time. Final score here, the Red Stockings 5, the Atlantics 5. Let's go down to Joanne Hulbert on the field and get some reaction after the game.
The score now stands 5-5. A tremendous cheering is heard from the friends of the Red Stockings. Now we wait and wait. And now the crowd surges onto the field and they're shouting, "Play it out! Play it out!" They are attempting to clear the field, but the Atlantics are leaving, carrying their bats along with them. The crowd is hissing in disgust. All is confusion. The Red Stockings are claiming the game as a win for themselves, and the Atlantics, on hearing this, are coming back. It is a wasted half hour that is needed to clear enough space on the field, and we'll see if the game will resume.
We're going to have a 10th inning, John.
It's astounding. The draw is an honorable outcome for both clubs, especially for the Atlantics, who didn't figure to be able to compete with the Red Stockings at all, given their 32-10 loss only last year.
Well, it wasn't a decision that was easily made, it sounds like. There was a lot of talk, they had to go to get the Atlantics back out of their dressing room, and I tell you, the one voice I could hear up here, Mike Henry. From the Atlantics, or you could hear Mike, I think it was the Elysian Fields anyway, but you could hear Mike, a lot of discussion. There was some disagreement as to whether to keep playing.
Well, Mike Henry is not only a saloon keeper and ardent Atlantics fan, he is one of the principal backers of that club, and who knows if he had a bet on the game. He may not have been satisfied with the draw, even if Bob Ferguson was.
One other thing you have to think about is the Red Stockings are all salary players. They get their salary, win, lose, draw, whether they play. The Atlantics are on the cooperative basis. The players get a share of the gate. Now, if we had a tie game, what would we do? We'd replay it. Sure, they'd hold over till tomorrow. We'd have another game. We'd have another big crowd, another big gate. But Harry Wright wants a decision.
I think Harry is very conscious of having been undefeated since mid to late 1868. That's a year and a half plus, and doesn't want to have any aspersion on the honor of the club.
Well, we'll find out whether he made the right decision and whether his team will hold on and get that victory. We're in the bottom of the 11th inning. one of the most incredible baseball games we've ever seen. It is 7-5 Red Stockings, came up with 2 runs in the top of the 11th. The Atlantics have one more at bat to try to do something about it. Charlie Smith is leading off, and Charlie hits a ground ball, goes past third. Waterman could not get it. It's into left field, so they're off to a good start. They've got a runner on, nobody out. Charlie Smith at first base. 2 runs down. Joe Start is the batter. Again, Joe Start, big, powerful left-hand hitter. Just the guy you want up in this situation. If he can put one over the outfielders' heads. The wind has died down. We don't have as strong a wind as we had blowing in earlier in the game, so maybe Joe can get a hold of one. And he does. He hits a long fly ball to right field. McVeigh's going back toward the corner, toward the fans. The ball is in. It's on the embankment. Smith is coming around. Smith is going to score. Start is going around toward third base. McVeigh has a hard time getting that ball out of there. McVeigh is in the crowd. The ball finally comes out, starts on third, or runs in. 7-6 Red Stockings. And Joe Start at third with nobody out. Those Atlantic fans tried to help out their team a little down there in right field. Cal McVeigh had a lot of trouble in the right field corner. But now we've got a runner at third. The Atlantic's 1 run down, nobody out. Jack Chapman is up. Chapman can bring in the tying run. He hits a ground ball to third base. It's not going to do it. Waterman makes sure that Start stays at third, throws over to first base. Gould, 1 out. So Chapman doesn't get the job done. There's 1 out. Runner at third base. Red Stockings ahead, 7-6. They've got 2 outs left. Bob Ferguson's coming to the plate, the captain, trying to tie the game or win the game. Ferguson is in the, looks like Ferguson, John's in the left-hand batting box.
He almost never bats left-handed except for fun in a game that's already had its outcome decided.
Doing it here. Do you know why?
All I can think is that he's reluctant to hit the ball to the left side of the infield because George Wright has been gobbling up everything. And we've had some weak fielding by both Sweezy and Gould, so maybe he thinks he's multiplying his chances just by keeping it away from Wright.
Well, it could be. We'll see. Here he is. He's batting left-handed against Brainerd. Here's the pitch, and it goes right up the middle. He hit it right between Wright and Sweezy up to center field. And Start is coming in with this tying run. So he did it. I don't know if he intended to do it there, but he certainly got the ball away from George Wright. It's 7-7. We've got a brand new ball game. Maybe we're going to go to 12 innings here.
Oh, if they're not exhausted, I sure am.
It's been a long, long afternoon, but the fans are loving it. There's nobody leaving. They're excited. They had enough energy to jump on Cal McVeigh's back out there in right field. They're still going strong. And here's Zetling. 7-7, runner at first base. It's all come down to this. Brainerd looks in. Brainerd's, if you're tired, think of Asa Brainerd. How tired Asa Brainerd is out there. Zetling, it's a line drive to Gould. Gould drops it. He's chasing it down. He gets it, but Zetling's going to make first base. Ferguson's going to make second. Gould couldn't hold on to that ball. It was a hard line drive. Tough play, but he might have had it. Zetling's at first. Ferguson's at second. We're still going here, 2 outs, and here's George Hall. Big, big moment in this ball game. We'll find out if we're going to go to 12 innings, because I assume if we tie it up, we're going to keep going. No inclination to stop here. Hall hits a ground ball to the right side. Sweezy drops it. He drops it. Ferguson's coming around third base. He's going to try to score. Sweezy's throw to the plate. It's going to be close. It's a wild throw. It gets by Allison. Zetling's going around to second base. Ferguson scores. It's 8-7. The Atlantics have gone in the lead, 8-7. And since the Cincinnati team has no more at-bats, the Atlantics are going to win. It's been one of the most exciting games we've seen. We've got 1 more out to go, and I don't think the Atlantics care what Levin Pike does. I don't think fans care what he does. They've won the game, but Pike's got to bat and make the last out or drive in another run. Brainerd's got to throw it. The Red Stockings look discouraged out there in the field. They know they're not going to win. Brainerd throws 1 more pitch, and Pike pops it up. Sweezy is going to make this play a little late. He makes it, and Zetling was running. I don't know why. He throws to first. Sweezy throws to first. Zetling's doubled off. The game is over. The final score. Atlantics 8, Red Stockings 7. The last inning had 3 runs, 3 hits, 2 errors, 1 left. Crowd is going crazy down there. Let's flip it right down to Joanne Hulbert. Joanne?
I'm here now with Cal McVeigh. Tell me, Cal, what do you make of that play in the 11th inning?
I gotta tell you, I've been playing this game a long time. That's gotta be one of the craziest things I've ever been part of. I'm out there, I'm hearing some guy yelling at me all game long. I'm paying him no heed, and I'm out there trying to make a play there at the end. Balls hits me, and suddenly there's someone on my back. There's this cop next to me beating this guy up, and I tried to get the ball in as best I could, but that's the way it ended, you know?
Oh, and now I turn to Dickie Pierce. Tell me, Dickie, at 34, you've seen it all. How do you rate this game?
This ranks among the best times, the best games I've ever had on the ball field. I mean, 80 games in a row that those guys have won, and we finally took them down. Just a great feeling.
So, Dickie, tell me, I interviewed a young attendant at the game. His name was Benjamin, and he said that you were his favorite player. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't have too many young fans who say that about me, so that felt good. Where is he? Do you know this kid? Is he around? Can I give him a ball or something?
What do you think your old friend Jim Creighton would think of this game?
Oh, he would have loved this out there. The first thing he would have said is, why ain't I pitching today? And then he would have loved to see us finally bring these guys down after 80 games. What a day.
Oh, well, Bob, you seem to be in a good mood today. How did you feel about making that winning run?
After all the commotion that went on during that play, I feel very fortunate to be able to have scored the winning run. Again, as captain of the Brooklyn Atlantics, I think it was important that we showed them and me personally that I was able to accomplish that feat.
There can be no question that the game was the finest ever played. Allison, George Wright, and in fact the rest of the 9 played splendidly, with a couple of exceptions. I think Start and Pike did the best playing for the Atlantics. The Cincinnatis were beaten, but they played magnificently. Maybe the Red Stockings were somewhat tired. They had been playing every day for 2 weeks, and maybe they were not in such good condition as they were even on Monday when they gave that fearsome drubbing to the Mutuals. But the fates were against them. And after one of the finest contests on record, when victory seemed certain, it was snatched from their grasp at the last instant, and they retired from the field, defeated for the first time in 2 years. Sic transit gloria Cincinnati.
John, what can you say about a game like this?
All I can think to say is that it's the greatest game ever played, and it will always be the greatest game ever played.
The Atlantics broke the winning streak. Great game on their part, but the Red Stockings played a great game as well. And I will say about the Red Stockings, though beaten, not disgraced. Normally I say to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed the game today. I don't need to say that. You couldn't possibly have not enjoyed this game. It was a great day, as John said, probably the greatest game ever played. That wraps it up from here. It's Bill Ryczek with John Thorn, Joanne Hulbert, our engineers, Ariel and Lisa Parsenis, saying thanks for listening. Good night. We'll see you next time.